Good morning. Seems dark in here. Maybe I need to turn some lights on. I hope you're going to have a great weekend. I hope today is just a spectacular day for you. I don't have anything outrageous going on this weekend, but I'm hopeful to just have a restful, undisturbed one. I was reading in 2 Chronicles 14 about King Asa, A-S-A, and I love how the Bible talks about the completion of a king's tenure. It starts verse 14:1. It says, "So Abijah slept with his fathers." Have you read that? Abijah slept with his fathers. His fathers were sleeping in the cemetery down the street. And so that's what they're saying there. It's very poetic. But then it said, when Asa became king in his place, the land was undisturbed for 10 years during his days. Think about that. It's saying there was no war for 10 years. And I would guess if you look on a historical basis, even in modern history, you probably don't go 10 years with much undisturbance or much peacetime anywhere in the world. America, we've been very fortunate that there's not been much war here on our own lands. And so going undisturbed for 10 years was kind of a big deal back in those days. Kind of funny how people just historically don't get along, right? Everybody wants something that somebody else has and wants to claim it for their own. But Asa was kind of cool that it went on down the way. And verse 5 says he removed the high places and the incenses, basically the false gods they were worshiping. And it said the kingdom was undisturbed under him. And then the next verse 6 says he built fortified cities in Judah since the land was undisturbed. And then at the end of that verse 6, it says, and the Lord had given him rest. And it goes on and on. It says he has rest on every side. What do you think about rest? Is rest something that's near and dear to you? Is rest part of life for you? Or is there disturbances all around you? And when I look at life, I think a lot of times of a little cruise we went on one time when we were in Valdez, Alaska. The cruise boat was maybe only 40 feet long. It couldn't have been 15, 20 feet wide. I don't know what the exact dimensions were. But this guy built the boat himself. It had a fiberglass hull, and he took off. We felt like the Gilligan's Island's passengers on this little boat going out into the ocean there. And as we got out, the scenery was more and more beautiful. The water was peaceful, and we kept going, and then he turned into this little inlet. And in this inlet, there were icebergs everywhere. And the iceberg, if I remember right, you couldn't see much more than maybe, 10 feet of it above the water. Maybe that was the most. But it was just one of these amazing things. I'd never seen anything like it before. And we kept going back in towards the very far end of this inlet. And we got probably within a quarter of a mile of shore there. And we just sat and waited. And then all of a sudden it happened is the water became disturbed. There was this loud, thunderous sound. And then straight in front of us, part of this glacier would just fall off and it would hit the water. And it hit the water with such force that us being a quarter of a mile away, it would cause the boat to just rock and rock and rock. And it turns out that what was falling off of that glacier was probably something as big as a city block. And so it was displacing a lot of water, causing big waves. And as we turned to go back out, all of the icebergs had shifted and we had to go at a very slow pace. And this fiberglass hull would hit these little icebergs and your eyes would get this big because you're wondering, what in the world? And that's kind of how life is, I think. And if you read in Chronicles here where Asa was king, you can see things at the surface level. You can see, boy, this is rough looking here. But with an iceberg, there's so much more. The depth is unseen to what's really going on there. And the power of water and something like that is all below the surface. And that's how life is. Our undisturbed life is going to happen below the surface, below the physical realm. It's the intimate time that I get to know who Christ is, not only in the spiritual realm, but in my life. And that intimacy of God is what's going to bring that undisturbance in my life. It's going to bring that peace in my soul. And it's going to give me a solid foundation, just like those icebergs are huge below the water. You don't see much above the water. And that's where you're going to find your strength. That's where you're going to find your peace, is that time you hang out with him and find out that he loves you. He thinks you're unbelievable. He thinks you're amazing. You're holy. You're righteous. Later on in here, it says that the eyes of the Lord move to and fro throughout the earth, that he may strongly support those whose heart is completely his. That's you. His heart is for you. Your heart is for him. He wants to strongly support you today and give you that undisturbed life. Hopefully you can enjoy it today. If not today, take one step towards him today, so tomorrow you will be able to. Have a great day. See you soon.